Helena, Montana, 1883. The railroad tracks glistened with frost as the Northern Pacific locomotive heaved to a stop, belching steam into the bitter January air. The platform stood nearly empty, save for a handful of travelers and the station master huddled around a coal stove. Most townsfolk had sought shelter from the unforgiving cold that had descended upon the mining town like a punishment. From the last passenger car emerged two figures sharing a heavy woolen coat. They moved as one, their steps carefully synchronized as they navigated the icy platform. Adam and Aaron Clark, conjoined twins joined at the side, drew stares from the few souls brave enough to witness their arrival. 23 years old, handsome despite their unusual condition, the brothers carried a single valise between them. "You certain this is where we ought to be?" Aaron whispered, his breath forming clouds in the frigid air. The shorter of the two by barely an inch, Aaron had always deferred to his brother's judgment, though his eyes held a wariness his twin lacked. "Certain as can be," Adam replied, scanning the town that sprawled before them. Helena had grown from a gold camp to a bustling settlement of nearly 5,000 souls. Brick buildings lined the main street, evidence of permanence and prosperity that the mining boom had delivered. Mr. Sullivan's letter promised steady work and discretion. Two things we sorely need. The station master approached them, curiosity battling with professionalism on his weathered face. "You fellows need directions? Lodging, perhaps?" "The Silver Moon," Adam answered firmly. "We're expected by Mr. Sullivan." The station master's expression shifted, a knowing look replacing his initial surprise. "The Silver Moon ain't exactly respectable accommodations, especially for newcomers." "We're aware of its nature," Aaron said quietly, "and we're expected nonetheless." As they made their way through the snowy streets, the twins observed the town that would be their new home. Helena sat nestled against the eastern slope of the Rocky Mountains, its streets carved into the hillside. Mining operations dotted the surrounding landscape, testament to the silver and gold that had transformed this wilderness outpost into a center of commerce. Men in heavy coats hurried past them, most too preoccupied with their own business to notice the twins' peculiar situation. Those who did notice quickly averted their eyes, as if their condition might be contagious. The Silver Moon stood 3 stories tall at the end of Last Chance Gulch, its windows glowing amber against the darkening sky. Unlike the more reputable establishments, it made no attempt to disguise its true purpose. A painted sign featured a silver crescent cradling the silhouette of a reclining woman. "You still certain?" Aaron asked, hesitating at the bottom step. Adam squeezed his brother's shared waist. "More certain than ever. The circus paid us pennies to be gawked at. The medicine shows treated us like we were diseased. At least here, we'll be compensated fairly for being unusual." Inside, the Silver Moon proved warmer than expected. A massive stone fireplace dominated the parlor, around which several men and women lounged on velvet furniture. Piano music drifted from an adjoining room, accompanying the murmur of conversation and occasional bursts of laughter. Crystal chandeliers cast a golden glow over red wallpaper and oriental carpets, a deliberate imitation of luxury that almost succeeded. Their entrance caused an immediate hush. Even in a place accustomed to the unusual, the sight of conjoined twins crossing the threshold was extraordinary. A tall man in a tailored suit approached them, his mustache precisely waxed and his smile calculated. "The Clark brothers, I presume. Right on schedule." He extended his hand. "Leland Sullivan, proprietor of this establishment. We spoke by correspondence." "Mr. Sullivan," Adam replied, shaking the offered hand. "Your directions were impeccable." Sullivan's eyes moved methodically between them, assessing his new acquisition. Indeed, please follow me to my office. There are details to discuss. The office contrasted sharply with the gaudy parlor. Here, practical furnishings and ledgers suggested a man who understood that even pleasure was fundamentally a business. Sullivan gestured to a wide chair specially prepared for their unique physiology. I trust your journey was uneventful, Sullivan said, pouring 3 glasses of whiskey. Helena can be difficult to reach in winter. The railroad was efficient enough, Aaron replied, accepting the drink. Though we drew attention, as always. Attention is precisely what I'm counting on, gentlemen. Sullivan leaned forward, his eyes shrewd. Helena has 4 establishments like mine, all competing for the same clientele. Miners, businessmen, politicians, all seeking diversion from frontier life. What I offer must be memorable. And we're to be another attraction, Adam said matter-of-factly, like your chandeliers and piano player. Sullivan's laugh held no humor. Far more valuable, Mr. Clark. You'll not be asked to perform any intimate services. Rather, you'll host, deal cards, entertain with conversation. Your mere presence will make the Silver Moon the talk of the territory. Aaron shifted uncomfortably. And our compensation? Room and board, plus 20% of the increased business you bring. I anticipate it will be substantial. Sullivan raised his glass. To a profitable arrangement. The twins exchanged a glance, a private communication honed through a lifetime of shared existence, before raising their glasses in unison. Later that evening, they were introduced to the residents of the Silver Moon. The women, 8 in total, displayed varying degrees of curiosity. Some approached with genuine interest, while others maintained a professional distance, recognizing fellow performers in the theater of desire. Don't mind Vivian, whispered Eleanor, a redhead with intelligent eyes who had appointed herself their guide. She's suspicious of anyone who might steal attention from her. The others are just figuring how to incorporate you into their routines. We're not here to disrupt anyone's livelihood, Aaron assured her. Eleanor smiled. Sugar, disruption is precisely why Sullivan brought you here. But don't fret. Novelty pays everyone's wages in this business. As the night progressed, the brothers found themselves the center of attention. Miners fresh from their claims, merchants closing their ledgers for the day, and even a circuit judge passing through town all found reasons to visit the Silver Moon, drawn by rumors of the establishment's newest curiosity. Adam thrived under the attention, sharing practiced anecdotes about their travels with the circus and medicine shows. Aaron, more reserved by nature, observed the room, noting the calculated interactions between the women and their clients. He recognized the performance aspect of their work, the same artifice he and Adam had employed throughout their lives. As the clock struck midnight, Sullivan appeared at their side, clearly pleased with the evening's receipts. A magnificent debut, gentlemen. Already the word spreads. We aim to please, Adam replied smoothly, though fatigue had begun to show in the corners of his eyes. Sullivan lowered his voice. One matter requires clarification. There will inevitably be requests of a specific nature regarding your condition. Curiosity about your private circumstances. Aaron tensed. We've encountered such curiosity before. We're practiced at deflection. Indeed. But in my establishment, curiosity often comes with financial incentives. Should anyone offer compensation for private demonstrations, remember that the Silver Moon must receive its share. With that, Sullivan departed, leaving the brothers to exchange troubled glances. It's no different than the circus, Adam murmured. At least here we're not in a cage. The cage is simply less visible, Aaron replied. As the night drew to a close, the brothers retired to their quarters, a spacious room on the third floor, modified with a specially commissioned bed. Through the window, they could see the mountains silhouetted against the night sky, snow-covered peaks gleaming silver in the moonlight. "We've survived worse situations," Adam said, removing his collar. "This arrangement could prove advantageous." Aaron nodded, though uncertainty lingered in his expression. "For now, at least we have shelter, food, and a measure of respect. But I wonder what will happen when the novelty wears thin. Then we'll adapt, as we always have." As they prepared for sleep, the sounds of the brothel continued below. Laughter, music, the ongoing commerce of loneliness and desire. The twins lay awake, each lost in private thoughts despite their shared flesh. Check if you're already subscribed to this channel. Subscribing gives you exclusive access to these meticulously researched historical accounts that reveal the untold human stories behind America's frontier past. February brought relentless snow and windstorms that howled through the gulch like hungry wolves. Inside the Silver Moon, however, warmth and prosperity reigned. Word of the conjoined twins had spread throughout Montana Territory, drawing curious visitors from as far as Butte and Bozeman. The brothers had settled into a routine, dealing cards and entertaining patrons with carefully curated stories of their experiences. Sullivan had been true to his word regarding compensation. The twins' savings had grown steadily, carefully recorded in a leather-bound ledger Aaron kept hidden beneath their mattress. If their plan to eventually purchase a small homestead was to succeed, every dollar mattered. On this particular evening, the parlor buzzed with unusual energy. A group of silver barons had arrived from their Helena mansions on the west side, bringing with them politicians eager for campaign contributions and the respectability that came with mineral wealth. "The gentleman at the corner table is Territorial Senator Williams," Eleanor informed the twins as she brought them fresh drinks. Despite the professional boundaries, she had become something of a friend over the past weeks. "The man beside him owns 3 silver mines and half the businesses on Main Street." Adam straightened his tie. "Important clientele." "The most important," Eleanor confirmed. "Sullivan's been courting their patronage for months. Your presence finally convinced them to choose the Silver Moon over the Golden Lily across town." The twins made their way to the high-stakes poker table, where Sullivan had instructed them to serve as dealers. The senator, a corpulent man with a diamond stickpin in his cravat, watched their approach with undisguised fascination. "So, the rumors are true," he declared, gesturing with a cigar. "Sullivan has outdone himself." "Senator Williams," Adam said with a practiced bow. "It's our pleasure to deal for your game this evening." The senator studied them with the detached interest of a man accustomed to unusual diversions. "Remarkable. And how do you manage the mechanics of dealing with your situation?" Aaron smoothly shuffled the cards, his fingers moving with dexterity born of years of practice. "We find that most obstacles in life can be overcome with sufficient adaptation, Senator." This drew appreciative laughter from the table. The game commenced with the twins working in perfect tandem. Adam collected bets while Aaron dealt, their movements so synchronized that after several hands, the players seemed to forget the unusual nature of their dealers. As the evening progressed and the stakes increased, the atmosphere grew more convivial. The Silver Baron, Andrew Blackwell by name, proved a generous winner and gracious loser, ordering champagne for the table regardless of the hand's outcome. "I must say," Blackwell remarked during a pause in play, "you gentlemen have found a most interesting occupation. I would have expected a medical exhibition or perhaps a circus." "We've done both," Adam replied. "The compensation here is superior and the audience generally more respectful." Blackwell nodded thoughtfully. "Fascinating. Tell me, In your travels, have you encountered others with your condition? A few, Aaron answered, though each case is unique in its particulars. And how do you manage private matters? Asked a younger man at the table, his cheeks flushed with alcohol and impertinence. Surely there are complications. Sullivan, who had been circulating nearby, intervened smoothly. Gentlemen, perhaps another bottle of champagne is in order. The Clark brothers are here to enhance your gaming experience, not to satisfy improper curiosity. The rebuke was gentle but firm. Senator Williams chuckled. Quite right, Sullivan. Though you can hardly blame young Peterson here for wondering. It's not every day one encounters such a medical marvel. The game continued without further personal inquiries, though the twins noticed exchanged glances between Blackwell and the senator, a silent communication that reminded them uncomfortably of their own. Later that night, as the high-stakes game concluded, Sullivan drew them aside. You handled that admirably. The senator was impressed by your dignity. We're accustomed to invasive questions, Adam replied. Sullivan lowered his voice. Senator Williams has expressed interest in a private audience tomorrow evening. He's prepared to pay handsomely for an hour of conversation away from prying ears. Aaron frowned. Conversation about what, exactly? He didn't specify, but he mentioned his wife harbors a keen interest in medical curiosities. I suspect he wishes to gather information to entertain her. The brothers exchanged glances. Our arrangement doesn't include private exhibitions, Aaron said firmly. Sullivan's expression hardened slightly. I'm not suggesting exhibition, merely conversation. The senator is an influential man in this territory. His goodwill could prove valuable to us all. After Sullivan departed, the twins retired to their room. The mountain wind rattled the windows as they debated their response to the senator's request. It could be innocent enough, Adam reasoned, removing his boots with practiced care to avoid jostling his brother. We've given interviews before. Aaron shook his head. Nothing is innocent in a place like this. The moment we begin private audiences, rumors will spread. We'll become no different than the women here. We're already no different, Adam countered. We sell the spectacle of our bodies just as they do. The only difference is the nature of the transaction. March arrived with the first tentative signs of spring. The snow began to retreat from the lower elevations, revealing mud and the detritus of winter. Inside the Silver Moon, business continued to flourish. The twins had become something of a sensation throughout Montana territory, their presence drawing patrons who might otherwise never have ventured into such an establishment. The private meeting with Senator Williams had proven relatively harmless, a series of questions about their medical history and daily adaptations. While the questions were intrusive, they were asked with clinical detachment rather than prurient interest. The senator had even presented them with a signed copy of a medical journal containing an article about conjoined twins, as if to legitimize his curiosity. That evening, Sullivan had arranged for a photographer to visit. For promotional purposes, he had explained. Discreet advertisements in select publications. The twins posed in their finest attire, standing before a painted backdrop of a Grecian garden. The photographer, a nervous man who smelled of chemicals, directed them through several poses before declaring himself satisfied. These will cause quite a sensation, Sullivan remarked, examining the glass negatives. I've already received inquiries from as far as Denver. Adam seemed pleased by this expansion of their fame, but Aaron felt a familiar unease. Every exhibition of their condition, however dignified, reinforced the boundary between them and normal society. Later that night, as they hosted the usual card games, a new visitor arrived at the Silver Moon. Unlike the miners and merchants who comprised their usual audience, this man carried himself with the confidence of wealth that didn't need to announce itself. His clothing was impeccably tailored, his watch chain gleamed with subtle authority, and his eyes, cold and assessing, moved around the room with practiced calculation. "Edward Hollister," Eleanor whispered as she passed their table. "Railroad money. Old money. Doesn't usually frequent establishments like ours. Prefers his entertainment imported from Chicago or New York." The twins observed Hollister as he conferred briefly with Sullivan, then took a seat at a corner table where he was immediately attended by Vivian, the Silver Moon's most sought-after companion. Throughout the evening, they noticed his gaze repeatedly drifting toward them, though he made no move to approach. "He's studying us," Aaron murmured as they dealt another hand of poker. Adam shrugged imperceptibly. "Everyone studies us. It's why we're employed." Around midnight, Sullivan appeared at their table. "Mr. Hollister has requested your company at his table for a drink. A private conversation." "What about?" Aaron asked, his suspicion evident. Sullivan's expression revealed nothing. "He didn't specify, but he's an important man, gentlemen. His railroad brings the very clients who keep us in business." The twins excused themselves from the poker game and made their way to Hollister's corner. Vivian departed with practiced discretion as they approached, leaving Hollister alone with a bottle of what appeared to be expensive bourbon. "The famous Clark brothers," Hollister said, his voice cultured and precise. "Your reputation precedes you. Please, join me." They settled into chairs across from him, their movements practiced to minimize awkwardness. "Mr. Hollister," Adam began, "Sullivan mentioned you wished to speak with us." Hollister studied them with unsettling intensity. "I've had occasion to observe unusual phenomena throughout my travels. Human oddities, medical marvels. I find they reveal something essential about the human condition." He poured 3 glasses of bourbon, sliding 2 toward the brothers. "Your situation is particularly fascinating." "We've heard such sentiments before," Aaron replied coolly. "I'm sure you have, but my interest extends beyond mere curiosity." Hollister leaned forward slightly. "I'm a collector, you see, of experiences primarily, though occasionally of artifacts related to medical anomalies. I've visited the most renowned medical museums of Europe, spoken with leading physicians about cases like yours." Adam sipped his bourbon. "And what is it you wish to collect from us, Mr. Hollister? We don't sell locks of hair or photographs if that's your interest." A thin smile crossed Hollister's face. "Nothing so crude. I'm interested in a private demonstration of your adaptations. How you navigate the world when joined as you are." "We're performers, not specimens," Aaron said firmly. "Of course, and I'm prepared to compensate you accordingly." Hollister named a figure that caused both brothers to momentarily lose their composure. It was more than they had earned in the past 3 months combined. "That's generous," Adam acknowledged carefully. Hollister waved a dismissive hand. "Money is a tool, nothing more. What I seek is understanding, insight into the human capacity for adaptation." "And what exactly would this demonstration entail?" Aaron asked, still suspicious. "An evening of observation and conversation. In private. I have a suite at the Helena Grand Hotel." Hollister's eyes fixed on Aaron. "I'm particularly interested in how you've adapted to physical limitations." Something in his tone, a subtle emphasis perhaps, caused Aaron to tense. "As my brother said, we're performers, not specimens for private examination." "Everyone performs, Mr. Clark," Hollister replied. "The only variables are the audience and the compensation." He reached into his jacket and withdrew a card, placing it on the table. "Consider my offer. I'll remain in Helena for 3 more days." After he departed, the brothers sat in silence, the untouched bourbon between them. "That amount would put us halfway to the homestead," Adam finally said. Aaron shook his head. There's something not right about him. His interest isn't scientific or even voyeuristic in the usual way. Did you notice how he looked at us? Not at both of us, but at me specifically. Before Adam could respond, Eleanor approached their table. I see you've met our illustrious Mr. Hollister. Vivian says he asked questions about you all evening. Peculiar questions. What kind of questions? Aaron asked. Eleanor glanced around to ensure Sullivan wasn't within earshot. About your connection. Whether doctors had ever considered separation. Whether one of you might survive without the other. A chill ran through the twins simultaneously. Their physical bond included shared blood vessels, a partially fused liver. Separation would almost certainly be fatal. He's just another curiosity seeker, Adam said, though his voice lacked conviction. Perhaps, Eleanor replied, but Vivian said something else. She said he kept asking specifically about Aaron. As if... She hesitated. As if what? Aaron pressed. As if he were only interested in one of you. The words hung in the air like a physical presence. In all their years of being exhibited, examined, and exploited, no one had ever expressed interest in only one twin. Their value, their very identity, had always been their connectedness. Have you ever felt that chill of recognition when someone sees you not as you are, but as what they wish to make of you? Leave a comment telling me when you first realized someone was looking at you with dangerous intentions. The following day, the brothers avoided discussing Hollister's offer, though it occupied both their thoughts. Adam dealt cards with unusual intensity, while Aaron found himself scanning each new arrival to the Silver Moon, half expecting to see Hollister's calculating gaze. Sullivan, sensing their distraction, pulled them aside during a lull in business. Hollister's offer has unsettled you. It wasn't a question. The twins exchanged glances before Adam answered. His interest seems unnatural. All interest in your condition could be termed unnatural, Sullivan replied pragmatically. It's the nature of curiosity regarding the unusual. He asked about separation, Aaron said bluntly, about whether one of us might survive without the other. Sullivan's expression changed subtly, a tightening around the eyes that suggested he hadn't known this detail. Academic curiosity, perhaps. Nothing about it felt academic, Aaron insisted. Sullivan studied them for a moment. Hollister is wealthy and influential. His patronage would benefit the Silver Moon considerably. However, I did not bring you here to be subjected to genuinely disturbing proposals. He straightened his vest. I'll speak with him, ascertain the exact nature of his interest. The brothers watched him depart, unconvinced by his apparent concern. He'll encourage Hollister, Aaron said quietly. The amount offered is too substantial to refuse. Adam sighed. We don't have to accept. We've saved enough to survive for a time if necessary. And go where? Do what? We're always going to be an attraction, Adam. The only question is the venue and the price. Their conversation was interrupted by Eleanor, who appeared with unusual urgency. Hollister is back. He's in Sullivan's office now. There's something you should know. What is it? Aaron asked, noting the concern in her eyes. Eleanor lowered her voice. Vivian overheard them talking. Hollister isn't just a collector or curiosity seeker. He's financing a doctor from Baltimore who claims to have performed successful separations of conjoined twins. Adam paled. Successful how? Both patients surviving? I don't know, Eleanor admitted. But Hollister seemed convinced it was possible. He was telling Sullivan that he wants to sponsor such an operation. On you. Aaron felt a cold dread spreading through his body. their shared body. Why would he care whether we're separated or not? Eleanor hesitated. Vivian said, she said Hollister kept talking specifically about you, Aaron, about how you have potential if freed from your brother. Something about your mind being superior. The twins exchanged troubled glances. It was true that Aaron had always been the more scholarly of the two, spending hours reading while Adam socialized. But the idea of someone noticing this difference and fixating on it was disturbing. We need to leave, Aaron said firmly. Tonight. Adam nodded in rare agreement. Our savings should be enough to get us to California. We can find work there. I'll help you, Eleanor said. Sullivan's occupied with Hollister. Use the back stairs after midnight. I'll have a carriage waiting. As the grandfather clock in the parlor chimed midnight, the silver moon hummed with activity. A poker tournament in the main salon provided perfect cover, the establishment unusually crowded for a Wednesday night. The twins had spent the evening as always, dealing cards and making conversation, betraying nothing of their plans. In their room, they worked methodically, packing only essentials into a single valise. Aaron retrieved their savings from beneath the mattress, just over $800, enough to start a new life if they were careful. Are you certain about this? Adam asked as they prepared to leave. Sullivan has treated us fairly. He's a businessman, Aaron replied. If Hollister's offer is generous enough, Sullivan won't hesitate to arrange our private demonstration. And who knows what might happen once we're alone with a man obsessed with separating us. Adam couldn't argue with this logic. Throughout their lives, they'd encountered those who viewed their condition with fascination, disgust, or pity. But never before had they met someone who saw one twin as worthy of preservation and the other as dispensable. A soft knock at the door announced Eleanor. The parlor's crowded with minors, she whispered. Sullivan's distracted with a dispute at the faro table. If you're going, it must be now. With practiced coordination, the twins followed her down the narrow back staircase. The service corridor led to the kitchen and out through the delivery entrance where, as promised, a carriage waited. The driver, a bearded man who smelled of tobacco and horses, gave them only a cursory glance before accepting Eleanor's payment. The 1:15 train to Butte is your best chance, she told them, pressing a parcel of food into Aaron's hands. From there, you can connect to the westbound line. Come with us, Adam suggested impulsively. You don't belong here any more than we do. Eleanor's smile was tinged with regret. Some cages are harder to leave than others. Besides, someone needs to misdirect Sullivan when he discovers you've gone. She squeezed their hands. Right when you're settled. General delivery will find me. As the carriage pulled away from the silver moon, the twins looked back at the establishment that had been their home for nearly 3 months. Light spilled from its windows, laughter and piano music drifting through the night air. Do you think Sullivan will pursue us? Adam asked, watching the brothel recede into the darkness. Not if he values his reputation, Aaron replied. Advertising that he lost his prize attraction won't serve his interests. The carriage made its way through Helena's deserted streets. Most businesses had closed hours earlier, though the occasional saloon still showed signs of life. The railway station loomed ahead, a solitary lantern illuminating the platform. We'll wait in the shadows until the train arrives, Aaron decided as they paid the driver. The fewer people who see us, the better. The night air bit through their shared coat as they found shelter beside the freight office. The platform remained deserted save for the station master, who had retreated to his small office, visible through a window as he dozed beside a pot-bellied stove. 15 minutes before the train's scheduled arrival, the twins heard the sound of approaching hooves, multiple horses moving at speed. Aaron peered cautiously around the corner of the freight office and felt his heart sink. "Sullivan," he whispered, "and Hollister, with two other men." Adam tensed. How could they have known? Before Aaron could respond, they heard the station master emerge, greeting the new arrivals. Sullivan's voice carried clearly through the night air. "We're looking for two men, identical twins joined at the side. They may be attempting to board the 1:15 train." "Haven't seen anyone like that," the station master replied, "but I've been warming myself inside for the past hour." "Search the platform and the waiting room," Hollister commanded. "They can't have gone far, not with their limitation." The twins pressed deeper into the shadows as booted feet approached their hiding place. The freight office provided minimal concealment. Discovery was inevitable if the search was thorough. "The stockyard," Adam whispered suddenly. "Behind the station. We could hide among the cattle pens until they give up." It was their only chance. Moving as silently as their condition allowed, they crept along the back of the freight office toward the stockyard. The smell of livestock grew stronger as they approached a series of wooden pens where cattle awaited transport. A shout from the platform indicated their absence had been discovered. "They're not inside! Check behind the buildings!" The twins quickened their pace, no longer concerned with stealth. The cattle stirred as they slipped between the pens, distressed by the unusual nocturnal activity. "There!" Sullivan's voice rang out. "By the cattle pens!" The brothers ducked behind a feed trough as lantern light swept across the stockyard. Boots crunched on gravel, approaching steadily. "We know you're here," Hollister called, his cultivated voice incongruous in the barnyard setting. "This childish escape attempt is unnecessary. I'm offering you an opportunity, a chance at a normal life." "For one of us," Aaron muttered bitterly. The lantern light grew brighter. Discovery was moments away. In the distance, a whistle sounded, the 1:15 train approaching Helena Station. "We have to make a run for it," Adam decided. "When the train pulls in, we use the confusion to board." "They'll see us," Aaron objected. "Not if we create a distraction." Before Aaron could protest, Adam reached into their coat and withdrew a match. With a quick strike, he set fire to a pile of hay near the nearest cattle pen. The dry straw caught immediately, flames leaping upward. The effect was instantaneous. The cattle bellowed in panic, crashing against the sides of their pen. The men with lanterns turned toward the commotion, momentarily forgetting their quarry. "Now!" Adam urged, and the twins sprinted from their hiding place, heading toward the platform where the train had begun to slow. The conductor was already assisting the few midnight passengers when the twins burst onto the platform. Without breaking stride, they thrust their ticket money into his startled hands and climbed aboard. "Close the door!" Aaron shouted as they collapsed into the nearest empty compartment. "Men are pursuing us." Whether convinced by their desperation or merely adhering to the schedule, the conductor signaled the engineer. The train lurched forward just as Sullivan and Hollister emerged from the stockyard, faces contorted with fury. As Helena Station receded into the darkness, the twins allowed themselves a moment of relief. The danger wasn't over. Sullivan might telegraph ahead to Butte, but they had won a crucial head start. "California," Adam said firmly, "where no one knows us. We can start fresh." Aaron nodded, though his expression remained troubled. "What do you think Hollister really wanted? Why his fixation on me specifically?" Adam shook his head. "Some men need to control everything they touch, to reshape the world according to their vision. Perhaps he saw in you something he wanted to possess, to mold. To separate from you," Aaron added quietly, "as if you were an impediment rather than my brother." The train picked up speed, its rhythmic clacking creating a hypnotic soundtrack to their flight. Through the window, they could see the mountains silhouetted against the night sky, the same mountains that had seemed to welcome them just months earlier. We've been viewed as a curiosity our entire lives, Adam reflected, but Hollister was the first to see us as anything other than a single entity. And that made him more dangerous than all the others, Aaron concluded. California, 1890. 7 years had passed since their desperate escape from Helena. The Clark brothers had found relative peace in a small coastal town where they operated a modest bookshop catering to the local population. Their uniqueness still drew occasional stares, but the community had largely accepted them. On a foggy autumn morning, the bell above their shop door jingled. Adam glanced up from his ledger and froze. Eleanor stood in the entrance, her red hair now streaked with silver, her eyes still bright with intelligence. "Found you at last," she said simply. Over tea in their back room, she shared the aftermath of their escape. Sullivan had been furious, but eventually moved on to other attractions. Hollister, however, had not abandoned his obsession easily. "He hired detectives to search for you across 3 states, Eleanor explained. But his interest wasn't merely collection or curiosity as we thought." She hesitated. "He was dying, a tumor in his brain. He'd become convinced that Aaron possessed some special insight or intellect that could help his medical research foundation make breakthroughs in his condition." Aaron shuddered. "He wanted to separate us so I could work for him?" "His logic was twisted by desperation and illness," Eleanor confirmed. "He died last winter, his obsession unfulfilled." As Eleanor prepared to leave, she placed a small pouch on the table. "Your share of the Silver Moon's profits that Sullivan withheld after your departure. I convinced him it was bad luck to keep it." That evening, watching the sunset from their porch, the brothers reflected on their journey. "We've always been seen as something to exhibit, study, or exploit," Aaron said quietly. "Hollister was just more specific in his desires." Adam squeezed their shared hand. "Yet here we are, defining ourselves on our own terms." "Together," Aaron added, "as we were meant to be." The fog continued rolling in from the Pacific, enveloping their small house in a protective shroud as night fell on the California coast. Inside, 2 men who had lived as one continued the delicate dance of their shared existence, no longer an attraction, but simply themselves. If you've watched this far, it's because you liked this story. Leave a comment saying, "I've watched this far," so I can get to know you and see who really enjoys the stories here on the channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who appreciates these hidden chapters of American history.